Welcome along to HeadStrong, the series of little problems. This is our guide to some of the most common things that affect people's lives and minds every single day, and our bid to try and explain them in a way that makes them simple to understand. Today's issue that we want to talk about is anxiety. It's one of the most common things that affects people in the Western world. It affects more and more people every day. Personally, I've worked with people as young as 7 years old who are having panic attacks and anxiety attacks. In my own family, my wife in the past, it was something that she did fairly successfully as well. And what's one of my biggest missions is to try and help people understand that just because you've got anxiety, it does not mean that you are broken. It's a very common thing. Oh, I've got anxiety problems, I've got anxiety issues. If you search up online, you'll find all sorts of names for anxiety issues. But do you know what? Actually, it's a very normal and natural part of the mind's function is anxiety. It's totally normal. Every single person in the world will feel anxious at some point in their lives. Maybe a big thing is happening, an interview or a job, or you're going on holiday, you're going on a flight, you're having to change your relationship, something like that. I don't know, there are a whole myriad of things that happen in life that have an unknown about them that we can therefore run anxiety on. The problem is what happens when it starts to get out of control. What happens once you lose the ability to manage that anxiety and therefore it starts to run away with you? It starts to feel as if it's happening at random points every single day. Maybe it just seems as if it comes out of nowhere. I absolutely promise you that none of those things I just said are true. It's definitely coming from somewhere. You do have control over it. You just need to know how, so just give me a wee second on that one. And I promise that it is happening not to you, but by you, which is why I quite often talk about people who do anxiety. It's not happening something to you, something's not happening, it's something that's happening in here. And it's a very simple thing. It's one question. Your mind is asking one question. That question is what if? It's a huge question. What if? You know, the end of it is completely and utterly undefined. So therefore, wherever it goes next will define on what emotion you get. What if good thing equals excitement? What if bad thing equals anxiety? Because it's really fear of the future. When you think about it, you can't have anxiety about something that's past. That's fear or stress or something that still scares you. Anxiety is always about the future. It's always about that idea of what if. What if something happens? What if the worst thing happens? And this is one of the most common things that people who experience anxiety do. It's in psychology, they call it catastrophizing. Basically, it means that things are taken out to the worst possible case scenario. So for instance, you think about going into work tomorrow, and you imagine inside your mind, you imagine people laughing at you or a disaster happening if you are driving the car, which is a very common anxiety. You imagine a crash happening or something bad occurring. If it's in your relationship, then you imagine somebody not loving you or leaving you or whatever it is, it's the worst case scenario. And what normally happens in anxiety, and I promise that if this is something that you do, I hope that you recognise this, because in my experience this happens with 100% of people who experience anxiety, is that you experience a fight inside your head. What I mean by that is that one side of you feels anxious and worries about things and runs things out to the worst case scenario, and on the other side what happens is you have a rational side of your brain, as most people call it, saying, well, I know that's not really true, I know that I'm safe, I know that I'm okay. And this idea of these two sides of your brain is actually one of the keys to being able to understand it, because this is the thing about anxiety. It is not there to hurt you. I'm not saying that it's the nicest thing to have in your life. I'm not saying that it comes up and gently strokes your head and says, by the way, I'm worried that something might happen in the future that may concern us. It comes up and it smacks you right in the face. But the reason that it does it is it's trying to protect you. Think about what anxiety is. It's a protection mechanism. I absolutely promise you that that's part one of being able to start to control it yourself. You have to realise that whatever is happening, it's happening inside your mind, so it's not actually normally about a real danger, but your mind is experiencing danger, and from there, it is then trying to protect you. One of the key things that you can do is to begin, I know this sounds bonkers, but to start speaking to your mind, become friends with your own head. Start saying things inside your head. Don't say it out loud on the bus or people will think you're properly crazy. But inside your head, say things to yourself such as, I know you're trying to protect me, but this is no way to do it. Start, and this for me is one of the most difficult tips, but the one that makes such a difference, just as a last tip for you on anxiety if you want to beat it. Tell everyone. I know you don't want to tell everyone because you're worried that they'll think that you're nuts, or they'll think that you're broken, or all those things that I've already told you that you are not. Your mind is trying to protect you. One of the biggest things that happens for people with anxiety is they try and hide it, they try and hold it all inside, and by trying to hold it all inside, it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. It is not going to get better if you keep it to yourself. My tip for you just now, go and tell someone that you trust and that you love just now. Anyone, just go and tell them that you are experiencing anxiety. And anytime you have an anxiety attack, make sure you flag it up, and I promise you'll begin to manage it. If you want to talk about anxiety or any other issue that's affecting you, the email addresses are about to come up on here. Please get in touch with us here at HeadStrong. We're always happy to talk to you and give you some advice, and maybe it might even be something that we can help you with. Thanks very much for listening. We'll be back soon with more of our series of little problems. I'm Brian Costello, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye.